We're going to make penny rolling cards with some cutting dies.
And they're fun to make and they're fun to play with.
Speaking of which, come play with us. Well, here is this magical cutting die, and there are 11 pieces, so you can see the 4 different shapes that are given.
You're getting 4 different slot cutting dies for an arc, a straight line, a kind of a squiggly line, and a swirl. Plus you're getting all of the pieces that are going to cut those individual spinner parts that are on there. With this comes instructions, which is great to have. And I love that it has this magnetic piece that holds all of those dies, and a zipper pouch that the whole thing goes in. So that's kind of a unique feature.
All right, let's get into projects. So the first one is using this curve. And although we just said it, I didn't kind of connect with me, but this pinwheel is part of the cutting die. So the mechanism is going to allow this little puppy to swirl and to move. And so that's that rolling part.
And it's hard for us to show you because we're having to lay it down flat, but if you hold it up and do it, it's going to spin.
Ah, thank you.
There we go. Get it going just a little bit. Better when it goes up, I guess. But so that is the whole technique is really pretty simple. I've got the card stock, and you start with the cutting die that cuts that nice slot. And then you're going to cut whatever type of spinner you want to use. In this case, there is the pinwheel spinner. Now, the cutting die goes ahead and cuts that, and then you just take the corners and one at a time fold them over and place them in the center. Now, once you get them there, you can zot them in place, or in this case I used a little white brad to get those 4 corners in place. Then you have that nice little pinwheel. So that's zotted in place, and then you need 2 pennies.
Which are not included.
They are not included. You're going to need 2 pennies for each one of these that you do. And then you want to use foam tape, just 1 layer of foam tape, a little square right in the center. And I did use the 3D foam squares that we have lots of different sizes in here. And that is just a perfect size for that. Then I'm going to remove the adhesive covering on there.
So you're not covering that whole surface, just that tiny area in the middle.
Yeah, so that it will be able to slide like so back and forth. And then I have another penny, and I'm going to place that other penny just right on top of there. I love the foam tape because it's actually pretty sticky. It's going to hold those pennies. And then it's going to be ready to roll back and forth. And all you have to do is attach your little pinwheel to the top, and you can go ahead and zot that in place, or you can cut one of the flowers if you would prefer to a flower. I am going to turn this over for a second, just show you that on the back I've placed a double layer of foam tape. You need it to be a little bit thicker so that that penny doesn't get caught up, and you want to make sure that your foam tape isn't going to hit that penny. So I supported that cut area with foam tape, and it is ready to glue onto or tape onto the front of your card.
And in this case, that is exactly on the front of the card. So the inside is available for whatever else you want to do.
Right.
And you can see that we've made the penny rolling, or Gail has made the penny rolling a little bit smaller than the front of her 5 by 6.5 inch card.
Right. So that's one of the spinners,
right.
The pinwheel spinner, and that is just fun.
Yeah, let's go into that swirl. And here is where this is going. Now, where did you get that snowflake?
The snowflake, the snowflake in the center, that's part of the cutting die. So that's another one of the cutting dies, and it has a cutting die for the snowflake as well as a shadow cutting die to back that snowflake.
Nice.
And then the swirl, I want to mention that first I took the glimmer paper. This is blue glimmer paper, and I glued it onto this foiled cardstock before I cut out that swirl out of the center. And then, after I anchored this piece on the penny, then I foam taped it, double layer foam tape, onto my card.
Okay, and this happens to be that foil paper, just because you got the shine with it, and it just worked nicely.
Just a little extra pop, and it actually worked perfect with the dazzles that were used here. So just beautiful sparkle dazzles.
Those are the gem dazzles.
Right.
Okay.
So, okay, this is fun. Do we go all the way? You can really, if I lift it up, see how you can see it spinning? It's very hard to show when we lay it down, but it's really fun.
It is. Now, speaking of fun, we have a little smile here, the way it's showing, and you can see it tumbling around. Very fun to get that flash of color too.
Right. And again, the same way I did the last one, go ahead and mat your paper on this Pink Hearts holographic paper before you cut that slot. And then you'll be ready to foam tape it once you capture those pennies and your pretty little flower.
And you've got a double layer of flowers there. And this happens to be an easel card. Right. So it also has a little extra dimension going, but very fun. Like you said, fun to make, delightful to receive.
Plus it's got all of those extra cutting dies, the small flowers, so I was able to layer those and layer a few up here as well.
I think the combination of colors is just really fun on this. You can see the silver linen paper, the pink holographic, as well as the fuchsia jewel dazzles.
So that's really fun.
And the card greetings dazzles.
That's just a happy card.
It is. Like I said, it's got a smile.
I want to play with it.
Okay, moving on to a Happy Harvest, another happy one. Now this is doing something a bit different, well, several things a bit differently. This is an S-fold card, as you can see. And as I open this, I'm going to turn it, and my pumpkin, which is also one of the cutting dies, is going to tumble.
It is. But
and we've got words.
Right, you've got words in there, which were very easily placed, I have to admit. Once that slot was cut, once this was set in place, then you can just set your dazzles in there. I just thought that was kind of a fun effect. But I want to mention on this card that, so with the other cards, you'll see that that panel is placed on the front in every case so far. This is the first one where we actually placed it on the inside.
Kind of hidden it,
It is double foam tape, but what I want to point out is that that means that I had to score it twice here. So for this fold, I put 2 scores, about 1/8 of an inch apart. That gives it a little bit of depth, a little bit like a book, so you'll be able to close it nicely, and you'll still be able to open it up and have all of these fun images. And it's so fun backing all of those dazzles with the different kinds of specialty papers that you're seeing.
I'm really surprised because the brown fireworks is used as a mat, and the gold ripple is what you did the pumpkin, and you backed all the pumpkins.
I did, and so there are 2 shapes you're going to be able to cut with those cutting dies. I cut the pumpkin out of the brown fireworks so I could get that nice brown stem, and then I cut the top pumpkin out of the gold ripple. And I found when I did it that it was kind of hard to see the little, trying to turn it so you can see. It actually embosses it so you get those pumpkin shapes. So I inked it with a little bit of brown StazOn. If I bring this in, you can see that gave it some shadows on the edges.
It's beautiful.
And you can really see those lines. Plus, I used a little black pen, and you can add some little details on there. It's just super fun.
And this is the Happy Harvest copper dazzles, which is just a beautiful look. So you can do all of your penny rolling on the outside or the inside of your card, just as you choose, with this wonderful cutting die.
Super fun.